From the WKYT studios in Lexington, this is Kentucky Newsmakers with Bill Bryant.
Good morning from WKYT News. Hope you're having a nice weekend. Here we are finally in March, and these are exciting times on the UK campus as we dig out from winter and start to look toward the spring and March Madness, of course. The president of the University of Kentucky, Dr. Eli Capilouto, is with us today. The university's been celebrating its 150th anniversary. That's the anniversary of its founding. All kinds of events tracing back to those early days and looking to the future as well. UK healthcare was recently granted an expansion at the hospital. That means 120 new beds and $1 billion worth of construction going on with the medical facilities. The university has also been pushing for a medical research facility. It's gotten some strong support in Frankfurt here lately. UK has students from around the world, meaning an increasingly diverse population on campus. The Board of Trustees has on its agenda consideration of tuition for next year. Will that go up this year? And as the basketball Wildcats continue on an unprecedented season so far, excitement builds about what's ahead. The questions remain about what's ahead at the home of the Wildcats as well, at Rupp Arena. Dr. Eli Capilouto now wrapping up his fourth year as president of UK, and he's joining us today. And we welcome you, Mr. President. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
Appreciate
Always a pleasure to be with you.
Update us on the things that are happening on campus at a very special time. As we said, maybe now we can finally look forward to spring. It was pretty tough there on campus with the weather and that we've been dealing with over the last few weeks, huh?
Yeah, my wife and I live on campus, so literally around the clock I could hear our facilities people working to make sure our roads were clear, our sidewalks are clear. We kept our campus as safe as we could throughout all of that. We still had to have a little downtime to keep everyone safe. Our health facilities ran around the clock, though. You know, they're essential services, and we had some other branches of our campus that had to do the same thing.
Where do you put that much snow? You just have to pile it up?
You know, I just know they're hauling it off. I'm not sure where it all goes. There's a landfill somewhere.
An undisclosed location. But yeah, it's a tough time. There were, what, 3 missed days, right? Was that,
we had 4, which is very uncharacteristic of us. But when you weigh everything, we have to keep people safe.
How do you make that up in college? You know,
well, a lot of our faculty were able to, communicate through email and other means to pass on their lectures and notes and give assignments and so forth.
Let's talk about the 150th anniversary of the University of Kentucky and how it is being celebrated. Why was it important to you and to the university community to commemorate where UK came from 150 years ago and the vision as to where it's going?
Sure. It was a wonderful time to reconnect to our past. It's a glorious past, a past that had all kinds of challenges. It wasn't the case that we were simply inevitable. We had to overcome a lot. And I think when we reflected, it at least inspired me to say, you know what, there's always a way to continue to move forward. All the leaders before me were able to do it because of marvelous faculty and staff, creativity, ingenuity. We've done it. But it also was a time for me to realize the why behind the how. And the why is back to our founding. We were unlike the European universities, which were really for the wealthy and well-to-do. We were a land-grant university. Our purpose was to serve the common man at first, and later women, and then later people of color. And it was important to reconnect to that sort of founding principle. Who are we here to serve? The people of the Commonwealth first.
And as you move forward, are you proud now of where it all seems to be going, the diversity of the campus population and those that you're able to serve?
Yeah. I look back at this year's freshman class, the largest class, best prepared class, but also the most diverse class we've had at the University of Kentucky.
Isn't it also a challenge because you can get more money from people from elsewhere than you do the in-state students? Isn't it a challenge to kind of balance that commitment to, as you said, the people of the Commonwealth first and also have enough money to operate the university?
Well, every qualified Kentuckian is admitted to the University of Kentucky. Our doors are open widest and first for Kentuckians. We do have people throughout the region and really around the world that do want to come and make Kentucky their home. Some of them stay after they graduate. But it also, in a time that our world is becoming so close, we give our Kentucky students an exposure to a diversity. This is what they're going to face. I told one of the convocations that in 50 years, when we celebrate our bicentennial, Caucasians will only represent 40% of the U.S. population. We'll be that diverse and grow that diverse pretty rapidly. So having this mosaic of colors and cultures, ethnicities, is a way to enrich the college experience.
Construction is everywhere on campus, and it's from dormitories to other kinds of buildings. Let's talk about just the campus as a whole and those construction projects that are underway right now. Then I want to zero in on what's going on with healthcare particularly.
Sure. We have $1.3 billion of construction underway. Nearly 95% of it is all self-financed. It is all to build community, to provide modern residence halls and learning spaces within those residence halls, a new Gatton College of Business, a new academic science building, new dining facilities. This is all to build family and a stronger campus life. We know, and you can see this across every university in the country typically, students who live on campus have a greater likelihood of student success. So we're not building for building's sake, we're building for student success.
Has as you say, the financing, you're 95% self-financed, you have reached out and are using private companies in many cases to build these facilities. Is that working out?
It's working out well, but there's a combination of other sources of funds. Philanthropy, we've been very successful there, and we took on some debt, but we're retiring debt pretty fast too. And just to let you know about our financial health, Standard & Poor's and Moody's, these rating agencies that come in and examine you, and they do that frequently at the University of Kentucky, they have all of higher education in a negative category. They had us in a stable category. After their most recent review, they put us in a positive category. So even though we're building, even though we took on a little more debt and all, when they come in and assess you in your entirety, they see that our investments are the ones that make us competitive, that make us less of a financial risk.
Few parts of campus impact the entire Commonwealth as much as healthcare, and there is a lot going on there as well. You are approved for an expansion at the hospital. What will that mean?
Well, what we know it's going to mean, as fast as we can get this done, is some of our wait times to get into our facilities have grown too long. We just simply have more demand than we have supply of beds. And we're staying ahead of this. Anybody who has an emergency need is going to be seen immediately. But our demand has gone up tremendously. It seems not to stop. 10 years ago, we had 19,000 annual admissions to our hospital. We're up to about 37,000 now. And that ascent is steady.
Is that because more people choose to come to what most would consider a higher level of care and skill at the university, as opposed to being out in the hospitals around the state, where you also are reaching out and
Sure.
having clinics and other professional activities out there?
Well, there's several reasons that we've had growth. First, we said we wanted to be the place where Kentuckians could find peace, knowing that they wouldn't have to leave the state to receive the most sophisticated care. So you can get it all here now, and it's as good as you can get at any academic medical center in the country. A year or so ago, we ranked 14th in the country amongst over 100 academic medical centers in terms of the quality of care we provide. Secondly, we have so many partnerships and affiliations with community hospitals. So somebody comes to UK, only if they can't be handled in their regional hospital or their local hospital. Our goal is to get them back to their home community where we know they'll heal best and heal faster.
Tell us about this proposed medical research building that suddenly has strong support in Frankfurt. Senate President Robert Stivers very strongly in favor, and he came out with that during a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and all of a sudden it was right on the radar with a lot of support, including to the point of the many lawmakers being in favor of amending the state budget in a non-budget year to try to make this happen. What is that facility all about?
Well, we shared with them data that was pretty compelling. This summer, Congressman Hal Rogers had CDC Director Tom Frieden spend time in the 5th District, and he showed a slide, which I've showed repeatedly, of the 5 leading causes of death in the 5th District. And according to his data, if we were a typically healthy community in the United States, we could prevent hundreds, probably thousands of deaths year after year after year. And there are many ways that we can impact this. The University of Kentucky has been a research leader. Already we have over 330 projects funded from the outside. We have to go out and compete nationally to get these, to tackle these problems. We're out of space to continue that work. We're out of space to grow that work. We have more talent from around the country that wants to be part of our momentum. And so we turn to them, and I am so pleased with the bipartisan support and the support of the governor as well.
Give us an idea of what kind of research we're talking about that's being done and will be done if such a facility is built.
Right. Well, you know, 100 years ago, most of the deaths in the United States were from infectious diseases. But we cleaned up our cities, our sanitation, sewer, and so forth. And then later, we developed drugs, antibiotics, for instance, that can combat infectious disease. They raise their head every once in a while. They become more difficult to treat. But the diseases today are more of the chronic diseases, and they're the diseases that rob you of your quality of life and your entire family's quality of life. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. But in Kentucky, we have excess deaths from cardiovascular disease, cancer, stroke, unintentional injury, substance abuse. Those are the things that we can tackle at a community level, but also by developing interventions at the cellular or molecular level.
Is it a challenge or an opportunity or both that you have been dealing with this, the Medicaid expansion, the Affordable Care Act that has now brought more patients to you, but brought other challenges as well?
Yeah, I mean, those patients were coming to us anyway. Our doors were always open. It is the case now that there's payment for the care they receive, and something else that we hope is a result of this. In Kentucky, like many states, it had high levels of uninsurance. You had overutilization or inappropriate use of the health system. For instance, somebody using the emergency department for primary care. So let us hope that by someone having an insurance card, there will be more appropriate access of the healthcare system.
Dr. Eli Capilouto is the president of the University of Kentucky, and he's our guest on Kentucky Newsmakers. We'll talk about a lot more. Tuition rates, the University of Kentucky Wildcats. That might be something we'll hit on before we go. On WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. Back in a moment. Welcome back to WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. It's good to have you with us today as we visit with the president of the University of Kentucky, Dr. Eli Capilouto. We really appreciate you coming in, and you've done that through your tenure and updated us on what's going on. Appreciate it. The Board of Trustees is planning to meet. They were planning to meet in Hazard, and the rough weather came along. But that's important that you go out and have those meetings in some remote areas, right?
This is the first time we've done this in quite a long time. We are rooted in so much of our research and outreach, affiliations with hospitals, to entities and organizations in eastern Kentucky. So we wanted to have our board meeting there. The bad weather intervened, but we're looking to reschedule that.
We understand that tuition may be on the agenda the next time the board gets together. Where do you see that going?
Yes, the Council on Post-Secondary Education approved a 2-year tuition plan last year. They said that over the next 2 years you could raise tuition in increments. The opportunity was, what we did last year was 5%. This year we would present to the board a more modest increase, probably along the lines of 3%.
Will you propose that to the board?
That is in the works, yes.
All right, so maybe there's some news here. You're going to propose a 3% tuition hike this year. Most college graduates are starting out life in debt, many of them tens of thousands of dollars in debt. I know you're keenly aware of that, of course. Is that a problem in society right now where we are told, and high school students are being told, they need a college degree? Certainly you want to get those advanced degrees and even doctorates into the hands of professionals, but the price keeps going up, doesn't it, Mr. President?
I like people to look at the University of Kentucky differently than some of the headlines about this. First of all, 85% of all the students that come to the University of Kentucky get some form of grant and scholarship that they don't have to pay back. 50% of all the graduates at the University of Kentucky leave with no debt whatsoever. Of those who have debt, it averages about $23,000. Study after study shows that over a lifetime, if you compare the salary or income of somebody with a college education versus someone with a high school education, it totals anywhere, that difference, from $800,000 to $1 million. So we think it is a value-driven investment, and if you don't get it, it is quite costly to you and to your family for the rest of your life.
If parents are out there right now, facing how they're going to handle those college costs and talking with students, do they need to begin that discussion very early in terms of how it's going to be financed, where they're going to go, the choices they're going to make about college?
Well, one of the things that we're introducing more and more into the college choice is what we call our financial literacy components, so that people understand the consequences of debt. Students are assessed, and we guide them and try to get them to make reasonable choices, but they can have access to debt to fund a variety of things. We want them to be very prudent in their choices and understand the short-term and long-term consequences of these choices. So we're heightening the information that we provide students and parents in regards to how you finance an education.
Is this, I take it it's all over the country, it's the same, that the universities just face decreasing public support in terms of what's coming directly from state government to the public universities, and yet at the same time, as you said, it's obvious that it is a good investment for those students.
I have great respect for the General Assembly and elected officials in Frankfort because I visit there frequently and I look at all their hard choices. Hard choices. You have to fund K through 12 education that is vitally important. We have extended health insurance to people through Medicaid, but that comes with a bill. We have pension challenges. We have challenges when it comes to corrections. So we have a variety of things. There's not a bad choice there. And in many of those, we have come out on the short end, resulting in our necessity to raise tuition.
The Singletary Center has postponed this Bill Cosby performance that was slated for mid-March. Do you deem that appropriate given the allegations surrounding him?
I do.
You have named a provost, and that is an internal person this time, and I think it was made clear rather quickly and early on that you were looking mainly internally for that position, right?
Well, I made that decision after interviewing over 60 people in our campus, a variety of constituent groups. I asked them what was the best way forward, what should be the priorities for the provost, and did they have any suggestions of individuals. And from that process, it became clear to me that we should look first internally where we have a great talent pool, that an individual that understood us would not have the steep learning curve. An individual could hit the ground running. We have so many things that we need to get done that are of an urgency. And so we did conduct an internal search.
And a high-profile departure that we were reporting on Friday, and Judy Jackson is leaving as vice president and is going to go to be closer to family. And so who can blame her for that decision?
Yeah.
I know it's a big loss for campus.
It is a big loss, and as I said in an email to Dr. Jackson yesterday, because so many people are flooding us with emails about how wonderful she's been on our campus, I said, she was a blessing to us, and now she's hearing the blessings of others. She did a great job. We'll miss her, but she's got more and more grandchildren on the way, and at a time in life when her children want her nearby. So it's a loss for us, but good for her.
And you'll begin a search for that rather quickly?
Well, I'll use the process that I've used in the past. First, I need to sit down and talk with a variety of people, get some advice on which way to go.
How easy or difficult is it for you to recruit to the university? I mean, the basketball team does pretty well, but when you go to recruit faculty and people to the Med Center and so forth, is it, how does UK stack up?
I think we have lots of advantages. I say we have all the amenities that you'd find in a big city, but the quality of life is higher because it's a manageable life here in Lexington. And the things that the university brings from all of the arts, visual and performing, to a highly educated workforce, our research enterprise alone generates over 5,000 jobs, $580 million in economic impact, $21 million in local and state taxes. We have more and more people that want to be a part of this. So recruiting to the University of Kentucky and a great city like Lexington, it's a nice set of props to have in your recruitment bag.
President of UK, Dr. Eli Capilouto, our guest on WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. Our remaining moments with him coming up. Welcome back to Kentucky Newsmakers on WKYT. We're visiting with the president of the University of Kentucky, Dr. Eli Capilouto. We've talked about a lot of things going on campus with construction and personnel and so forth. How far can these Wildcats go? Can this team run the table and win every game?
Well, I hope so, and it certainly feels like it. But what's more gratifying to me is the time I've had to spend around these coaches and players. They're great athletes, but they're really good kids. And they love their experience here, and they endear so much support. And when you go out to recruit students, I call a lot of these students. Some of them are quite talented, incredible grade point averages and ACT scores. And when they decide to come to Kentucky, I say, why? And they talk about our faculty and our new facilities and our residence halls. And then at the end, they typically say, and I'm a big, big sports fan. So we offer that community building experience.
So a national title, no question, and another one brings more ability to the university to get some things done, some more status, some more among lawmakers as well as students?
Well, we're an academic institution first. We've had wonderful success over the last 4 years in garnering investments into our academic facilities, but it is integrated. When we wanted to do an academic science building, and I turned to UK Athletics first to be our first philanthropist. $110 million building. They put $65 million on the table immediately. I think probably over the last 10 or 20 years, when you include that, there's been $130+ million of investment by UK Athletics into our academic enterprise.
You have been reluctant to put Rupp Arena ahead of your priorities on campus. In fact, you just wouldn't do that last year when that was being proposed. Is there any movement toward a plan that would refurbish Rupp Arena going forward that you're aware of?
Well, I'm interested in playing basketball for decades in Rupp Arena. We recognize that it needs improvements, and we hope we'll be able to be a part of that.
And so, plans to come at some point?
At some point.
All right. Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in.
It's great.
All right, very good. And we want to thank you for joining us for this edition of WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. I'll see you bright and early on WKYT this morning. We start at 4:30, so we're up when you're up on mid-morning at 10 and on WKYT News at noon. And to follow Kentucky politics, follow us at KY Newsmakers, hashtag KY Newsmakers for updates on Twitter. Hey, make it a good week ahead.